Ladies and gentlemen, it's time now for 502 Sports. Hey everybody, welcome to another edition of 502 Sports. I'm your host, Adam Hitt, alongside Jimmy Nolan and Adam Wilkinson. Gentlemen, how are you all doing today?
Oh, good, buddy. How you doing?
I'm doing very well, man. I know, Adam, you just got back from a little trip. How was your semi-vacation?
It was good. We got to see some family we haven't seen before. Grandma got to meet her, I guess, great-grandchild for the first time.
Yeah.
Yeah, fantastic.
We got saw some real live tumbleweeds going across the street. One
Where
hit
did
the
you
car.
go?
Arizona.
The
out in the
tumbleweeds
desert.
in Arizona. Yes.
Yep.
Yes.
Awesome.
So it was a good time.
Great. We're glad to hear it. We've got a good show, guys. We're going to be talking some Cards basketball commits, talking a little bit of Lou City and Racing Louisville, some Bats baseball, and maybe some torpedo bat conversations as well here, along with some other local track and field. So we've got a great show, but I really wanted to start off, wanted to share some exciting news with you guys. We actually have a partnership offer with a local restaurant. It's called Take Thai, and we've partnered with our friends there, Ann and Chris at Take Thai, to give 502 Sports listeners a discount on the incredible food that they have at their restaurant. So really excited to share this. We're going to be sharing out a couple promo codes that people can use to get $5 off a purchase of $30 or more, or $3 off a purchase of $15 or more. The restaurant is right off of kind of the Forest Springs area here in Northeast Louisville, right off LaGrange Road. So really cool opportunity, you guys. Maybe even after a show, we can drop by and try to get some food there if you want. Have a meal,
Absolutely.
and they've got some really good food. A lot of really good things on the menu. It is a traditional Thai menu there, so really a shout out to Ann and Chris at Take Thai, and we'll be posting. So check our social media platforms. We're going to be posting those promo codes, but you've got to use the 502 Sports promo code or you don't get the discount. So again, we really appreciate the partnership with Take Thai and 502 Sports. Make sure to check out those promo codes on our social platforms. You'll see that posted here shortly. You can use those promo codes to dine in, to carry out, or even order through DoorDash online. But definitely use those promo codes and get a discount on the great food at Take Thai. And we hope to see you there for lunch or dinner very soon. All right, guys. So our first topic of today, I really want to talk about the Final Four matchups that we saw. Florida over Auburn and Houston over Duke. Both games were comebacks by Florida and Houston. Really just exciting games on both sides of the bracket. Florida and Houston are going to be matching up for the national championship. Who are you guys taking in that matchup and why?
You want me to go? Okay. Yeah, I'll go first. I'm actually going to go with Florida. I like, how do you, Walter Clayton Jr.? I mean, the man reminds me of a young Steph Curry in that his range is as soon as he crosses the timeline.
Right.
He can be deadly anywhere beyond the three-point arc, so you have to come up and guard him. And as soon as you take that extra, you close down the gap between you and him, he can beat you off the dribble drive, which means that if he's got a free running lane to the rim, the defense is going to have to collapse to try and slow him down, which leaves him to kick out to the wings. I mean, he is a one-man wrecking crew. And I think that was what really hurt Auburn, because even as Auburn tried to double team him, he was still finding the open person. He was still able to get to the rim sometimes. He was a one-man wrecking crew for Florida. And I look for him to continue his run. However, in the back of my head, how many times has Houston been counted out? How many times have you looked at the rankings and said, Houston, really? Are they any good? Like, really? Are they? Are they as good? Or is it a weak schedule? Like, fair points. And I'm sure we've all said it at one point or another. But, hey, Houston had to beat some good teams to be here, and people can argue that Duke is one of, if not the best, all-around team.
Right.
And they were able to come back against Duke, get the win against Duke. I think they were up, 6 with 30 seconds to go.
Right.
And Houston was able to, create some turnovers, get to the foul line, convert their opportunities. So I'm taking Florida, but I'm doing it with a second guess mentality.
Right.
Houston's got me second guessing that. I don't know. It's going to be exciting to watch. I'm going to tune in. I'll have my popcorn ready.
Yep.
Adam, what do you think?
I like Houston in this game.
Yeah,
I do. Overall, like I said, they're a tough, gritty team. They don't quit. similar to Florida, though. Florida doesn't quit either. It's going to be a great game. Yeah. LJ Cryer's leading scorer, just over 15 points a game. They got 4 players averaging over in double figures right now.
Yeah, that's a total team. Absolutely.
It is. Averaging just under 40% shooting from 3 as well for the year. So it's going to be a close game. I think Houston wins by 5.
Okay.
What?
If I were a betting man, I would totally take Florida plus 5. But me and betting, it's not
really known Jimmy to bet. I've never known you to bet. Not once.
I don't know about that, but yeah, I'm actually taking Florida as well. I think that coming into the tournament, these were the 2 teams that everybody said were the best defensively, and for them,
Houston was the best defensively.
Yeah,
statistically they were.
Yeah, and so these 2 teams, it's going to be a really good matchup. It's going to be a really good matchup to see how they compete against each other. I felt like Auburn just ran out of gas in the second half.
You could tell they were tired.
They were high intensity. They were controlling the game in the first half. They just couldn't sustain it. And then, like you said, Jimbo, so it was actually a minute 14 was left. Duke was up by 6 when they hit the free throw.
Okay.
To give themselves a 6-point lead. It was a kind of it's kind of a comedy of errors there with turnovers.
Yeah.
The foul that got called on flag, which was questionable. And then Houston comes back and kind of shocks Duke. But really, overall, both really good games, I just think.
Well, and all credit to Duke, too, because even still, they had, 15 seconds or so with the ball, right. With the AP Player of the Year in Cooper Flagg, who I thought got a pretty decent look from the foul line.
He did. I think he was tired there, too. You could tell. I mean, with that shot being short.
Well, but at that point, everybody's tired. You're not going to look at anybody and be like, hey, you out of gas?
Right, but a freshman taking that shot at the end of the game, he basically had to do everything for them this whole tournament, and it's fatigue at the end of the game. He just couldn't hit the shot. It just didn't get over the rim.
And as a freshman, is that moment overwhelming too much? Where
when the ball's in play,
team.
When the ball's in play, I mean, are you really thinking about the moment? No, you're thinking, I need to get a good look, and I need to get my shot off, and I've got so many seconds to do it. Maybe at the end of the game, people
Houston
say
was in Final Four last year, right? Or at least in the Elite 8 last year, I believe. So,
yeah. So you're saying experience won out there?
Yeah,
sure.
I think it played a factor, whether that helped or not, I don't know. But inbounding the ball, Duke, kind of not sure where to go and panics last second, tries to throw it over top, and Houston defender knocks it out and able to get back out. Yeah, he got a good look at 3, missed it, but then Duke didn't block out on that either. Guy got a dunk tip in, and next thing you know, it's a 1-point game.
Okay.
So we've got 2 Floridas, and we've got 1 Houston, right?
Yeah,
and 1 Houston.
Okay,
yep.
so
somebody's gonna win.
The other big game today, which
that's the John Madden analogy right there. Somebody's gonna win. When these 2 teams play, somebody's gonna win. Good one.
I think whoever scores the most points is going to win the game.
The other big game for today, actually right after our show, is the women's side, UConn versus South Carolina. South Carolina is trying to repeat as national champions. Mm-hmm. You've got Paige Beckers on UConn, who is absolutely the best player in the league this year in college basketball. Who do you all think is going to win that one? I know it's right after it actually is getting ready to start now as we're recording this. What are your all thoughts on that game?
I think it's going to be UConn. I personally have a hard time betting against Gino in this. He's been to the championship game 12 times and won 11 of them.
Right.
It's pretty
as a non-betting person, it'd be hard to bet against him. That's strictly where I'm going.
I mean, to be the team, you got to beat the team, right? And South Carolina is the team. Dawn Staley's going to have her team ready to roll.
Yeah.
I view Gino Auriemma kind of the way I view Tom Izzo. When it comes to the tournament, if the teams are even, I usually give Tom Izzo the nod, and I advance Michigan State because as far as like an X's and O's coach, last couple of minutes down the line, I think that the coaching helps win out. Now, and I do see Gino that way also. So I have been going back and forth on this game as well. I'm going to pick South Carolina just because nobody's beat them yet. Like, they're the team to beat. It's their tournament to lose. Right. They're the reigning champs. If you want to be the champ, you've got to dethrone them. However, Paige Beckers take nothing away from her and her team. Yes, phenomenal year. Gino is still, in my opinion, the best coach. I would take him over Don Staley, but I'm going to go with the reigning champs on this one. I'm going South Carolina.
All right. Well, I tell you
got?
what,
What do you got?
I'm going to go with UConn.
Yeah.
And it's I
makes sense,
think
yeah.
I think this is one of the best matchups that we've had in a while in the final, where I think either team can really win this. But the only reason I'm going with UConn is because I picked UConn in my bracket, and I think I'm going to win the challenge if UConn wins. So that's what I'm going to go with. I think that's
fair.
my whole reasoning. But I think South Carolina is probably the better team. But I think Paige Beckers is the best individual player on the court. She's very much like Caitlin Clark last year, where she can just take over a game. So it could go either way. I'm looking forward to watching this game as well.
It'll be entertaining for sure.
It will be a good game.
All right, guys, let's stay on college basketball here.
All right.
But let's talk a little bit closer to home. So we talked about the final game, Florida versus Houston. So we are now using those two teams as a measure for what we think Louisville and Kentucky could potentially build in the future, of what they're going to need to do to build a championship team, right? And so the big news this week, after the portal has kind of opened up and schools have been able to get commitments and signings from players in the portal, Pat Kelsey has made a big splash with 3 significant guards committing to Louisville from the portal. Many people are actually saying right now that the Cards could end up with one of the best backcourts in the country next year with all of the guards they have coming in. They've got Isaac McNeely from Virginia, Adrian Woolley, who's signed from Kennesaw State, and Ryan Conwell, who's coming in from Xavier. So, gentlemen, what do you all think about these 3 players? It's a rebuilding year. They have to get new players. They have to bring in, actual game changers, people who are going to, put points on the board and lead this team next year. What do you all think about the commitments that they've gotten so far in the portal?
I think it's going to fit the way he plays very well. Also, it's going to complement Michael Brown probably better than anybody thought, because you got 3 tremendous scoring guards. Are they Isaac McKinley is the top 3-point shooter percentage-wise in the ACC coming over. And then Adrian Woolley, like I said, he was leading, I think it was one of the, just over, was it 18 points a game out of Kennesaw State?
Yep, almost 19, yeah.
Freshman of the year as well for him. And then Ryan Conwell is another great scorer. So they're going to complement Michael Brown very well and have one of the best backcourts and potentially one of the best front courts as well, with everybody who can come back, coming back in.
Right.
And then if
Hatley's got one more year, right?
Hatley's got one more. He can come back.
Yeah.
Pryor can come back.
Yeah.
I think Pryor said he is. Or
Yes.
he wants to.
Yes.
But have we heard anything from Hadley? Is he still weighing his options?
Yeah, haven't heard anything official
Okay.
from him. So
Yeah.
and then if you can get Nate Ament,
The high
also
school.
commit.
Yeah.
The top-rated player. I think he's between Louisville, Kentucky, Arkansas.
I think Duke was in there too.
And,
Yeah.
So he's very high in all of those. And if you get, I think ultimately he'll probably choose either Kentucky or Louisville. I don't know why, I just do.
Okay.
But yeah, if you can get them into Louisville, their front court now is going to be very good. But
Yeah.
currently, I think will be a preseason top 10 team. And if you get Nate Ament, top 5, and
Yeah.
potentially, I think, and could very easily, we'll have the caliber players have the talent to get to the Final Four.
Okay. Yeah. When I look at the transfer guys coming in, the one thing that sticks out in my mind, Adrian Woolley, let's see, 42% from 3.
Yeah.
Right.
Conwell, 41% from beyond the arc. He made 99 threes.
Yeah.
Rain Smith this past year made 107.
Yeah.
107. And
Bringing in to replace
Isaac McNeely, he was 4th in three-point percentage in the ACC at 40%. It's clear that Pat Kelsey wanted shooters.
Mm-hmm.
He that was one thing that I think Louisville lacked in outside of Rain Smith.
Yep.
And he made it a point that he wants shooters. I know that the signee that they have out of Germany, Sunando Fru, that's a fun word to say, Sunando. Is a 6'11" forward, and from what I've seen from him on some YouTube videos and whatnot, I was looking at, he's very capable in the pick and roll. He plays over in Germany in the top tier pro basketball league in Germany. He's gone up against pro athletes. He's is a pro athlete, I guess, himself. But he, with the NIL and all that good stuff, I guess he still has college years of eligibility left. But he's going to be 22 this summer, so he's not going to be a kid coming in, even though he is going to be designated as a freshman. But his pick and roll is pretty solid. And if teams can't switch defensive, or if they have to switch defensively at 6'11", he's going to create a nightmare on the inside. So then you're bringing in other people to help double team him, which, boom, is going to open up your guards on the outside, and they're your threes.
Yeah. No,
So
to your point.
I think, those guys coming in, Kelsey's going to have a great recipe for a delicious dish.
Yeah, I think Louisville was in the top 20 as far as 3-point attempts in the country this year. So it's just, going to continue the way, I know he's very analytic forward. So, you're going to see a lot of threes or a lot of shots right by the goal.
And that's appealing to
the players.
To players, too, because if you look at the NBA game,
that's all it is.
It's generated,
threes and dunks.
It's generated around threes, like you said, analytics.
Yep.
And, and guys, obviously, when they're playing college ball, they have aspirations to play in the NBA.
Yeah.
So if they can show on film against top, college level talent that they can succeed and they can put up good percentages and make good decisions on the floor, then they're gonna make a case for themselves to be drafted into the NBA. Yeah, I do. I think he's got a real good thing going at Louisville. And you add, like you said, Ament in there. My gosh, as a Kentucky fan, I'm gonna hate to see it because that's because they're gonna be so good. So,
yeah, just three huge signings. I mean, I think just nationally, I think other teams around college basketball are looking and going, wow, this is a big haul. If you look at just the rankings of these guys in the portal, McNeely's a top 10 portal player.
Yeah.
You've got Adrian Woolley and Ryan Conwell, who are both, in the top 20 of the portal. So you've got great players. Adrian Woolley, coming out of high school, he was a 5-star recruit as well. So you've got him. You think of him paired with Mikal Brown Jr., two 5-star guards right there.
McDonald's All-American, right?
Yeah, exactly. And then you're still talking about additional signings that this team could have. I mean, just
along with the
huge
guys
potential.
coming back.
Exactly.
Case and Pryor, he was awesome for Louisville in the limited time that he was available.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I mean,
Absolutely.
Javon Hadley, if he decides to come back, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, you talk about shooters. They were outside of Rain Smith last year. They were all good shooters, but they would be streaky. They get hot, and you couldn't stop them once they got hot. But they were very streaky. Terrence Edwards Jr. He was a little bit more consistent, but he graduated this year. Obviously, won't be coming back. So you're going to be bringing in a lot more consistent scoring. With these transfers.
Yeah, and Rain Smith really opened up the 3-point line for everybody else on the court. So he would come in, hit a few threes, and then immediately they have to start stepping out on him more frequently, and it opens up the rest of the team. And now you're talking about a backcourt that every single player that's going to be on the court is going to be a threat at 40% plus from 3-point range. I mean, that's unbelievable. That's going to be really difficult in the ACC for any team to match up against them defensively with those kind of shooters on the perimeter.
Well, and then again, if you do get out on the perimeter to defend them, then you are going to have your big guys down low that are free to go one-on-one.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
So it's just going to create so many more options for this team.
Yeah.
So what do you all think the expectations are? Knowing what's coming in, what are the expectations for the Cards and Pat Kelsey next season?
I don't know. I don't think they want to finish second in the ACC tournament. I don't think they want to finish second and third in the regular season. I think the expectation is to not only compete but to win. And I think Pat Kelsey's made that evidently clear. He's not here to do a good job. He's here to exceed. He's here to win.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. And this big if they can all stay healthy, unlike this year where they had a lot of, trial and tribulations on injury side.
Injuries, yeah.
Right.
I think if they stay healthy, I think the expectation would be an Elite Eight, Final Four. for this team the way it's set up
second
here.
weekend, if not deeper.
Yeah, I think it's
right?
got to be. Yeah, I think you're looking at, that Elite Eight, Final Four would be your expectation.
Well, and
Everybody stays healthy.
Well, and I tell you what, as a Kentucky fan, that it's hard to make that statement anymore that we expect to be Elite Eight, Final Four. Year in and year out, we saw Kentucky top recruiting classes. Not so much transfers because the portal wasn't what it is now.
Yeah.
But the expectations were so high, so high, so high. And if you didn't make a Final Four, it was considered a failure. So I don't want to see the bar set Final Four bust because I don't think that's good. Like this year, they didn't win a game in the tournament. I would be happy if I would consider it a win if they saw the second weekend. So I think I think
there, but
well, and that may be, but you don't know who you're going to match up against.
Yeah.
You don't know who you're going to have injury versus not injury.
that's why I said if they stay healthy, I think that's where your expectations just going to continue to grow. Now, if there's injuries this year, the expectations would change throughout the year. I think that's fair.
But we also don't know who's going to sign where either.
Right.
That Ament has got Kentucky on his list. He's got Duke on his list. Arkansas is on his list, and whatever other juggernauts are going to pop up. A St. John's can come out and they're not out of nowhere anymore.
Right.
Rick Pitino's revived that program as well.
Yeah.
He's also said he's staying in the transfer portal. I don't think he's going to recruit any freshmen going forward.
Yeah.
So
I know we talked about that last.
I love his
show.
argument for it though because he's trying to replace experienced strength and veteran players on his roster, and he just doesn't think that he can do that with freshman players anymore because you're going up against these 1 and 2 seed teams in the NCAA tournament that are going to be stacked with all these experienced transfers, and you're going to have to go up against those veteran college players moving forward.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm still torn because I'm going back to Kentucky's national title year, where they were, Anthony Brown, Anthony Davis, Carl Anthony Towns. I mean, was that just obviously it was an anomaly?
It's one thing. It's one thing to put.
Can they not do it again?
It's one thing to
why
put
can't they?
all of the best freshman players on one team. Then yes, I think you can have success. But that's just not going to be the
It's
case
not gonna happen.
anymore.
No, especially with NIL out
you're
there,
not going to be able to get all
you can't
those.
have the money
and
to do that.
Who can't have the money to do that? If you're going to tell me some of these top tier schools don't have the money to do that?
Are they
Sure
willing to put it
do.
into basketball versus football?
They don't want to invest in a
10
freshman.
years ago.
They don't want to invest that money in freshmen anymore.
So what are you saying? They paid it.
Well, see, there you go.
The money is
That's a
being
good
invested
argument.
in
Okay.
experience.
Sure.
They want to
Yep.
invest in experience. They want to invest in a guy that's guaranteed to get them 15 plus points a game. That's going to get them X number of rebounds. Is going to be a leader on the locker room and those sorts of things. So it exactly what Rick Pitino said. I think that a lot of the other coaches are doing very similar. I mean, look what Pat Kelsey's doing in the portal. I mean, they're not freshmen. They've got experience now in college basketball. They know what the expectations are, and they're not coming in as kind of wide-eyed freshmen, not going up against grown men in college basketball and having to play that night in and night out, especially in the bigger leagues, SEC, ACC, Big 10, Big 12.
Yeah.
Those are experienced players who are going to be playing in those leagues moving
The
forward.
other question I have is, outside the 2012 Kentucky team, what other freshman-led team has won NCAA title lately?
Duke, Zion Williamson.
So that's one out of
You said name one.
you
so-
yeah, I
did.
did. I said name one. So but yeah, the percentages is very low for that to
I
happen.
wasn't prepared for that question, so I haven't done
Well,
my research. But
those are
that
still-
one came off the top of my head.
Those are still pre this,
But how many
this
other-
portal
Yes.
situation
That was
we have
not-
now
yes,
in NIL.
That was
That's-
one player.
yeah.
That would have been one player. Zion was the rest of the team. Are they all freshmen as well, like Kentucky, or is it? Did you have
was
some
that-
more experience? That's a good.
You know what? Again, I wasn't
Yeah.
prepared for that question, so I can look it up.
I don't know it either, so I'm just.
But I do not think Zion Williamson was the only freshman that played that game for Duke.
I'm sure he wasn't the only freshman that played, but I'd have to
But
see
you're
the
saying,
roster.
you're saying it wasn't 3 and 4 starters. is
Yeah,
what you're
I'm saying you're not
Yes.
having.
I mean, if he had better NIL at that point, his shoe would definitely not have blown out in that. In
How
those, remember
embarrassing
this
is
Nike's
that?
blowing
Oh,
out.
Yeah, my goodness. Some Nike phones are ringing off the hook like, oh, God, oh, God.
Exactly.
Didn't see any Adidas shoes doing that, did we?
Oh, shots
Wow.
fired.
Wow.
I know, right,
Okay.
okay.
You're looking for an endorsement deal there.
Right?
He's got a new influencer, Adam Wilkinson. Everybody, Adidas, come on, time to come calling. All right, guys. So, sticking with U of L, I did want to mention that not just on the men's side, but on the women's side, Coach Jeff Walls has signed Skylar Jones from the University of Arizona. She led Arizona last year with 52 steals and averaged over 10 points a game in her second year, in her sophomore season in college basketball. So that's a big signing for them. I think, obviously Jeff Walls is trying to build another team that can make a run in the NCAA tournament and compete in the ACC. But that's a good first step for Jeff Walls as well. What do you all think?
Yeah, I think he needs to, he's got to be like every other coach. He needs to retool his roster, use the NIL transfer portal. It's amazing how you said the transfer portal, like it was advertised by NIL.
There you go.
The NIL transfer portal.
Right.
I think she's a dynamite get for sure. Like you said, 10 points, 3 boards, a couple assists, a couple steals average per game.
Right.
That's a well-rounded talent that he just added to the club.
Absolutely, especially with the girls that have opted into the transfer portal that they're losing. This is going to be a great addition to help, kind of replace what they're losing. So I'm looking forward to it and what Coach Walls can do with the team. I think their expectations are still where they are, being top 20 team and kind of hosting the first round of the NCAA tournament and going into the second weekend. So
Yeah, so hoping for good things there
Yeah.
from Jeff Walls and the Cards. On the Kentucky side, well, I definitely want to mention this as well. I know we're in 502. We're talking about 502 sports, but UK is ever present here in Louisville. There's a lot of UK fans, obviously. In some places, it's 50-50 split, maybe more, one way or the other. But Mark Pope and company have also gotten a couple commits. They got Jalen Lowe from Pittsburgh, who has averaged 16.8 points per game, and then Cam Williams from Tulane. He's a 6'8 guard, averaging 9.5 points per game as well, and shooting around 41% from beyond the arc. So NBA size, scouts are looking at this guy already in his sophomore year. So a couple big pickups by Mark Pope and UK.
Well, and he's not done either. He's got to replace a lot of guys on his team too. I think I read somewhere that he could add anywhere from 4 to 5 more guys in the transfer portal. But no, for sure, definitely 2 good gets with Williams and Lowe. Playmaker that Lowe has the ability to be from Pitt is going to fit in nicely to replace the guards. Leaving Kentucky. I know Perry will be back, and but at what role too? Like
Right.
he had a little bit of struggles shooting this year. Hopefully he can find his range and his rhythm and get back to his high school groove. I think as most Kentucky fans were hoping to see.
yeah, no, I watched Jalen Lowe play against Louisville earlier this year. He was very good. It's very impressive watching him play. I think he'll fit in great with what Coach Pope wants to do there.
Well, I basically what I'm thinking here is that Louisville right now is winning the transfer portal game just based on the 3 big commits that they've gotten so far. Now, obviously, there's a lot of other players left to make decisions and move around. We don't know what that's going to look like over the next month or so here, but I think Louisville's in really good position. Kentucky's putting themselves in really good position with kind of retooling both of their rosters. So obviously, we're hoping that both teams do well and supporting them, trying to get them to the NCAA tournament so we can have more March Madness chaos here in Kentucky. But really looking forward to both teams and how they kind of retool year over year, which is going to be the recurring theme moving on here.
Yeah.
You're not kidding. That's just the landscape of the college basketball world right now, and football too.
For now.
So, guys, over to soccer. So, I know, Adam, you're not a huge soccer fan, but that's okay. Last night, Louisville City was on the road at Sacramento Republic. They ended up coming away with a 1-1 draw, even though they dominated large chunks of this game. They dominated in terms of possession, shots on goal, overall passes completed. It looked like a match that Lou City really should have won. But in the end, they had to really kind of make a desperate comeback towards the end of the game. Actually, in the 90th minute, +8, we saw a game-tying goal that was just really kind of
comedy of errors.
It was, but it's like the best accidentally perfect goal that you'll ever see. It was just a very strange event where the goalkeeper comes out to punch a cross away from the box, and then a Sacramento player then tries to clear it, tries to volley it away, But as soon as he hits the ball and volleys it, it deflects off Amadou Diaz's head and into the back of the net to tie the game for Lou City and stunning the Sacramento crowd. So it was a really cool finish.
For those of you out there that haven't been able to watch this goal, go to YouTube and check it out because it's
unbelievable.
Yeah, it's just kind of silly that a professional team would have this bad luck. Like it was, the goalkeeper came out, so the ball's lofted into the back corner. The goalkeeper comes out with a handful of people going up for a header. He goes up to try and double punch it out, and he kind of like whiffs on it. He makes contact, but not strong, and the ball just kind of caroms down to the ground. The closest defender kind of does like a karate kick volley, try and get it out. And Diaz right there in front of him and basically puts his head down so he doesn't get it knocked off. And the ball hits his head and makes a beeline for the goal.
It was a great finish.
It was exactly how they drew it up.
Exactly. And you could see the Sacramento defender who's kind of trying to protect the goal because his goalkeeper comes out. The Sacramento defender dives trying to head the ball, but it's already past him in the back of the goal at that point.
Yeah, it was a bing, bang, bang, bang play. And, hey, we'll take it. I thought the goal that Lou City gave up was kind of a fluke in its own right.
Yeah, I thought that as well.
The pass back to the keeper.
Yeah,
he just
over
had
his head. And
well, they pass it back to him. He has a heavy first touch.
Yeah.
And it gets away from him. An attacker comes in. He just kind of pokes it away into another attacker who lofts it over everybody's head, like you said.
Yeah.
Right.
And, they're better than that. They're pro athletes. They need to have a better first touch. It's the keeper. I get it. But at the same time, you're not, 9 out of 10
Shouldn't
times
happen like
they're not
that.
making that mistake.
Right.
So it was a gift that they gave Sacramento, and then Sacramento was nice enough to
return the favor.
Yeah. Sure.
There you go. Yeah.
Good thing is it did see it allowed Lou City to have their fifth time since 2015, starting first 5 games undefeated.
Yeah.
So you had 2015, 2017, 2018, and 2022, and 2025, obviously. And
Yeah,
I'm sure
absolutely.
those previous years have had a lot of good results. So hopefully it's a sign of things to come.
Yep.
Yeah, absolutely. And so even though they ended up pulling out the draw, so they got 1 point from the game last night, they actually dropped down to second in the standings because Loudoun got 3 points and won their match. And so even though we're still technically undefeated, we did drop down into second place. But a long season to go. Louisville's next home match is in the U.S. Open Cup third round. They actually get to play Loudoun United, who they beat 2-0 in the opening home opener in March. So that'll be a good kind of a rematch of that game.
And for those of you that are wondering when that is, it's Tuesday, April 15th, 7 o'clock. Head out to Lynn Family. It's a beautiful venue. If you've never been, there's not a bad seat in the house.
No.
Yeah, should be a great match. U.S. Open Cup is always a lot of fun because you get the lower division teams that get to play against the higher division opponents, which may become even more fun to watch when there's promotion and relegation in the USL coming in a few years. So that'll be really fun to watch. On the Racing Louisville side, they are still planning to host their match against the Washington Spirit. That's Trinity Rodman and team that are coming to visit on April 12th.
Fingers crossed.
As of right now, they're saying that they're still going to have the match, but with the Ohio River flooding that's happening in downtown Louisville, and they've canceled Thunder over Louisville for the same night.
Sad day.
I do think that this event, this game may have a chance of getting canceled as well, depending on how bad that flooding gets. We also know there is a Bats game on the same day. Yeah. So at 2:05, the Bats play Indianapolis, and so both of those games are still going to be taking place as of right now, even though Thunder was canceled. What is your all's thoughts on the Thunder cancellation, and how disappointed are you?
I mean, it's a bummer for the city for sure.
Yeah.
Like the amount of people that come in or just get out of their houses, get to downtown, fill up the restaurants, fill up the hotels. We're talking 250,000, 500,000 people that come out yearly for this fireworks extravaganza. It is
economically
a bummer
for the city.
It's
loss. It is a bummer.
It is a big loss.
It's my favorite event of the Kentucky Derby Festival, but I understand why they did that. Because where are you going to put 500,000 people?
Well, especially if the banks are starting to be flooded and just not in good conditions.
It's probably not the safest for the barges either to be sitting there with that much water.
Sure.
They may not be able to stay in place as well. They
Right.
can't anchor down as easily, and then it's disappointing, but I have no problem with them erring on the side of caution and safety.
Yeah, and that's just it.
Yeah.
You know, you want to
wish they
put
could-
on this show, but you want to be responsible. You
Yeah.
want to do it right, and not have any crazy accidents or any injuries or anything like that. But
Right.
as long as that means, hey God, you listening up there? As long as that means that Derby can go on without a hitch,
Right.
I can sacrifice Thunder to make sure we have a sunny Oaks, sunny Derby. So
Absolutely.
Oh, you want sunny as well. So that's two
That's-
things you want. You want it to happen,
Yes.
and you want good weather.
Well, yes, I want it to happen.
Okay, okay.
I don't want a national pandemic. To,
What if it
to
snows?
knock it back
Is
5
If it
months?
snows and it still happens, is that okay?
Yeah, yeah,
Okay,
yeah, yeah.
okay,
No,
yeah.
no.
Great,
As
great.
long as
Ooh,
it
that's a
goes
good
on.
trivia question.
I
Has it
don't
ever
want
snowed
it to
on-
be rained out.
Yes, it has.
I don't want it to be rained out and they cancel Derby. If they run in the rain, I'm cool with that.
There you go.
Just as long as it
I
runs?
I want it to happen. Yes. Well, yeah, of course.
Here, my old Kentucky home.
Yes, all of it. All of it.
Yes.
Yes.
So, even though Thunder's been canceled, right now, two good events downtown: the Bats game and the racing game. A
Yeah.
couple options for people to go to downtown. Even though Thunder's not happening this year, but keep an eye out on those schedules. It's very possible that those schedules might get changed or those games might get
Yep.
postponed due to the weather and the flooding. It is really serious down there. The flood walls are already in place. They're
Yeah.
calling it's going to be a top 10 flood event in the city of Louisville. There's been tons of damage all over the city already with some roads kind of collapsing and different things like that, mudslides and things. So be careful out there.
Pay attention to the weather.
Yeah, but we're
Yeah,
hoping
pay
that
attention,
these other games will be able to go on. So
And if they
get out there and
do,
support 'em.
and if they do, get out, go to the Bats game, go to the racing game. I know we've
Yeah.
gone to a racing game before.
Yeah.
It's a
They're
lot of
both
fun.
great
Bring the
family
kids.
events.
Yeah,
Yeah.
The kids all get them out there and
Mention Lynn Family Stadium, not a bad seat in the house. Same with Slugger Field. There's not
Oh
a bad
yeah,
seat
no,
there.
absolutely. Get out in the outfield, catch a home run
Yeah.
ball, or
Yep.
the outfielders after they're done warming up will toss a ball into
Absolutely.
the outfield. So go get a ball. Go watch the women play some soccer and cheer on your team and get a chance to like you said, watch Trinity Rodman.
yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely, absolute superstar. She just scored a goal yesterday for the U.S. Women's National Team too against Brazil.
Yeah.
in their friendly. It was her first game back since the Olympics. So really cool to see her back on the field.
and we don't know how much longer she's going to be in the United States.
I know she wants to
She wants to
potentially
go
go somewhere else.
overseas.
Yeah. So that's really
That'll
interesting.
be a bummer, So yeah, this is could be your one and only chance to see Trinity Rodman play soccer. So
Might
yeah,
be,
get
yeah.
out to Lynn Family, everybody.
Yep, get out there, get some jerseys signed, whatever you got.
Yeah,
They'll
some
come around
pictures
after the
taken.
games. It'll be fun. So, sticking with baseball, we were talking about the Bats. The Bats just won their game yesterday against Omaha. It was a 4-0 win.
Omaha.
Aaron Wilkerson pitched 6 innings. He only gave up 2 hits, and he had 9 strikeouts. It was the Bats' 4th win of the season, which brings them to 4-4 so far this year, and it snapped a 3-game losing streak for the Bats. So a really good outing there by Aaron, hoping to kind of get some more momentum there for the Bats this season.
Yep, they're up 2-1 right now. Looks like in their the afternoon game, into the second. So
And as of this show, I was listening to the Reds broadcast, and it sounds like they've got another pitcher headed to the IL. So he could maybe see some time up in Cincinnati.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, there's quite a few guys on the AAA roster that are high up in the in the Reds farm system in terms of prospects. So a lot of good potential talent there for the Reds moving up.
another good reason to get out to Slugger Field, watch them play.
It is. Yeah, get out and support the teams. We've got great sporting events here in Louisville. Get out and support all of these teams around the 502. In terms of baseball, guys, in Major League Baseball, the big conversation right now is about the torpedo bat. And Louisville Slugger is making this torpedo bat. They've actually been making it since 2023.
Are they?
But it's starting to catch on here.
They don't have like a patent on it, do they? Like it's not the Louisville
No,
Slugger.
it's not the
torpedo?
Louisville Slugger. There's
Okay.
Anybody
That'd have
can
been
make
really
bat
cool.
maker out in Colorado.
Yeah, anybody can
working
make
on
it
it.
as of right now. So they're basically just, being able to kind of modify where that sweet spot of the bat is, move it up and down a bit
Yeah.
to kind of accommodate the type of swing that the batter has. So they can really personalize that bat a little bit more to how the actual individual hitter swings and move that sweet spot for them based on their swinging motion. So it's a really cool design. Obviously, we saw the Yankees hit
No, they went crazy.
like 15 home runs or something, and
against
9
the
of those
Brewers,
home
good
runs were
lord.
with torpedo bats.
It's crazy.
I mean, do you like it? Like there are the purists out there that are saying it's bad for baseball, and then there's the new age thinking where, hey, more runs, more viewership, like this is good for baseball. Where do you guys land on that?
Brings it more entertainment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Does it give you the quote unquote corked bat? I guess.
Yeah, we don't need a Sammy
It's not
Sosa
gonna be
had to bring up my boy
but
Sam. You had to
does
bring
it
up
give
my
it the
boy.
performance of a corked bat? Is the question, because the other thing I've also read is it makes it feel a little bit lighter in the hand, so you can feel like you can swing it a little bit faster, a little bit more swing speed, and get more pop off the bat.
Yes, and that was one of the arguments for it was not only can you swing it faster, but hitters also can wait a fraction of a second longer to begin their swing, and they can recognize the pitches a little deeper into the zone because they can get their bat through the strike zone more. I'm in favor of it. If they want to say any piece of lumber that's as long as you don't go over the dimensions, it's not heavier than any particular dimension, weight specified.
Within the specs.
Yeah, if it's within
what
the
Major League
specs,
Baseball requires, then
yeah, it is. They're fully legal. They're the correct size, weight, and material, so they are fully legal. It's just changing a little bit of that shape of the bat head to get more of a sweet spot for the individual batter.
Yep. Hopefully they will show up to my Chicago Cubbies sooner than most, so we can hit them out of Wrigley.
It still won't help.
You guys are going to get whatever the opposite of a torpedo bat is. So I don't know. I'm not sure what it is.
I don't know. Yeah, either
a sinking torpedo.
Yeah,
it won't help the Cubs.
Hey.
No, just kidding.
So in other news, guys, I wanted to share. So Cards baseball is actually, the spring season has started as well, and they had a huge win over Boston College this weekend. It was a 17-5 win over Boston College. Lucas Moore, who plays for the Cards, had an incredible day. And this guy he was 6 for 7 from the plate. He had a triple, a home run, 3 walks. He drove in 7 RBIs. He had 3 stolen bases, and he accounted for 6 runs, all by himself.
That's a good 2 weeks.
Yeah,
that's a good 2 weeks for a lot of people.
Exactly.
My only question is, why couldn't he get the double to hit the cycle? I mean,
and he wasn't using a torpedo bat.
I know.
So,
Not yet.
That's true.
Yeah.
Maybe that's why he didn't get the double.
But
that is an unbelievable day.
Yeah, it's
Like
about
I said,
the best
it's
day you can have on the diamond, other than the one short of hitting perfect for the day.
Right.
Yeah. But just a really, really great performance. The Cards actually finish up against Boston College today. They are currently ranked 18th in the country, and they are going to be facing the in-state rival. They're going to be facing Kentucky on April 8th here at home at Jim Patterson Stadium.
Yeah, that'll be a hot ticket. You going to go out to that, Adam?
I unfortunately will not be able to make it to that game. I would like to, but I got family plans that I got to do that day.
Okay. But I guarantee you he'll be listening on the radio.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and then, in the state of Kentucky, we've got 2 other teams I wanted to mention quickly. So UK is currently just outside the top 25, but they did in the coaches poll. They got 9 votes.
Yeah.
And then Western Kentucky is not getting the publicity that they deserve right now. They are 25-4 on the season. It may be the best season that they've had ever. I'll have to go back and look at the stats here, but WKU is 21-0 at home. They're having one of the best seasons that they've had in a long time, if not ever. And they actually got 8 votes for the top 25 as well. So we have 3 teams in the state that are right there. Whether Cards are in the top 25 now, Kentucky and Western are both kind of hovering right around that 25th place in terms of the coaches poll. So really cool, some really good baseball happening across the state.
Yeah, staying on the baseball side, going into high school and looking at prep baseball, their Power 25 as of a week ago had 4 Louisville teams inside the top 5. You got Trinity, PRP, St. X, and Ballard all in the top 5.
Top 5, that's insane.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, good for them.
Good way to get out, watch some local baseball, some good local baseball as well on the high school side.
Yeah, and nationally, PRP was ranked 18th in the country. So they're a very, very good team. Obviously, you mentioned Trinity, St. X. I think Ballard was the other one.
Yeah, Ballard.
Just really good baseball happening here in the 502 locally in the high school level, which we're seeing maybe that's translating to some of our local collegiate baseball here as well too. Just with having all this talent and really good baseball happening across the state.
Absolutely.
All right, guys. So I had just a couple other quick other couple quick notes here. So we did talk a little bit pre-show about the Jim Vargo Invitational at Bellarmine. That's an annual track meet that they have, a track and field meet that they have every year at Bellarmine. This year, unfortunately, with all of the weather and the rain that we've had and the flooding, they were only able to complete about basically the first day of the competition. The whole second day got rained out. They were supposed to have about 13 different teams come in to compete. But unfortunately, it was kind of a washout. I did want to share a couple PRs that I saw from Bellarmine. In the men's hammer throw, Bellarmine junior Alex Cole set a personal record with 55.02 meters, and he did win that event.
Good for Alex.
And then sophomore Annie Somway, I think that's how to pronounce her name. She also set a personal record in the 400 with a 58.52 for Bellarmine. So a couple really good, really cool stories there. Personal records happening as the outdoor season for track and field gets started. And then also, you'll like this one, Adam. So in track and field, this was actually last week, but since we didn't have a show, KJ Bird for U of L track and field was named the indoor track and field freshman of the year for his competition in the heptathlon.
Well, congratulations, KJ. Well earned.
Yeah, he is going to have an unbelievable collegiate career. Setting
looking
records
forward to
already,
watching
school records as a freshman.
Yes.
Just unbelievable there for KJ Bird, and maybe hopefully maybe we can get him on the show here at some point and talk. That would be really cool to have.
That would be fun.
Have him as a guest. But guys, really thank you all for a great show. I know we've covered a lot of topics today in a very short period of time. I do want to shout out again to Take Tie for their partnership, and make sure you check out our social media channels.
Hungry now as we speak.
I am too. I'm very hungry, so we might have to head over to Take Tie.
Let's go over the show.
And go check out the promo codes on our social media pages, especially Instagram and Facebook. We're going to be posting those promo codes to Take Tie. We'll also have their address and their website there for you all if you want to order online or get carryout. You can do that. So thanks to Chris and Ann over at Take Tie, and I hope you all enjoy the great food like we have at their restaurant. Thanks for tuning in to 502 Sports, and we will see you next time. Make sure to follow us at 502 Sports on all your social platforms so you can stay up to date in between our shows, and send us your questions or topics you want to hear on our next episode. As always, we hope you have a great week in the 502.